Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net, also carrikerchronicles.com. It's where all your Husker sports hopes and dreams will come true. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just settle the debate right now. The shirt is salmon and not pink, but we're going to – I knew Ahman would like that one. All right, but this is going to go out a few days after the Super Bowl when we actually post this. But if you want to say congratulations to former Huskers like Pro Bowl center Beatrice's own Cam Jurgens, O'Shawn Mathis, and Nick Gage for being Super Bowl champions, smash the like button. Today's show, I'm going to call it a 2-for-1 smash interview with Ahman Green and then Britt Prince right afterwards. You know the drill. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell. If you missed any of our previous interviews with Levante David, Grant Wistrom, check those out. Jason Peter will join me next Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Time on YouTube, 7 p.m. Central Time on the social medias is when the Carriker Chronicles will be going out weekly going forward. And I've been getting asked a lot about the Carriker Chronicles football camp. Wednesday, July 9th. Eric Crouch is definitely going to be there. I'm obviously going to be there, and I'm chatting with some other former Husker legends as well. We will release more details as we get closer. All right, now it's time to bring on our special guest, 12-year NFL vet, 4-time Pro Bowler, Packers Hall of Fame, Packers all-time leading rusher, 2-time national champ, 2-time first-team all-conference, and earned All-America honors in 1997, Mr. Ahman Green. How you doing, my friend?
Man, what's up, Adam? I'm doing well. How you doing?
Dude, life is good. I can't complain. I'm going to dive right into it because I like to, as people know, I like to go backwards before I go forward. But my question is this, because you still to this day have the 10th fastest 100-meter dash time ever in the state of Nebraska, 10.61 seconds. You also competed in powerlifting, and you placed second in the ADFPA High School National Powerlifting Championships. So my question is, did you ever seriously consider running track, doing powerlifting, along with and or maybe opposed to doing football in college?
100%. If I could have done all that, I would have been, oh my God, just as happy as winning the national title my freshman year. If I could have done all that at the college level, because I like to do different things. I think, and we know as pro athletes now, we're say older people now, it's good to be dynamic, right? And learn other things to get better at your sport. From your main sport to your secondary sport to your third sport. So powerlifting was something that was required as an Omaha Central football player. And if you didn't wrestle, get your butt in the weight room for the winter season at that time. That was Coach Mack's. Shout out to Coach Mack, rest in peace. That was his basically his lowdown. He said, all right, football season's over, guys. For the ones I know that's wrestling, for anybody else, Ahman, you're one, and Damian, you're two, and Tony, you're like, he knew the list of guys that did not wrestle. I'm going to see you on Monday in the weight room for powerlifting training and get ready for competition. I'm like, so that was my first year, my junior year after I transferred from North. So I was like, all right. And I was already into weight, so it was easy. Yeah. It's like, okay, all right. So I get to see how much stronger I could get. But didn't know going into that it was going to help out my track. Because it was basically powerlifting season ended probably like 2 to 3 weeks before track. So I had a nice time to kind of settle my body and rest and relax, and then got on the track, doing a couple miles a day, for those first couple of weeks before we hit the indoor season. And I mean, I totally felt, I think it was that first event. We did an indoor track meet, I think up in Wayne State University. They did a high school invite indoor meet every year. And I went there since my freshman year at North. And I can't remember my time, but I felt fast. And I'm just like, I was like, why? I say, it feels different. I don't know why. I just couldn't put my finger on it until like I graduated. And I was like, oh, it was the weight, me powerlifting. It kind of clicked in being 16 and 17. I didn't understand. I was just like, oh, I'm just growing. I'm a kid, this, that, and the other. But it was like, no, it was that powerlifting kind of basically getting supercharged and staying limber. I stretched a lot too. That helped along with powerlifting too. But then that helped along with my track. So I would say that was the reason to that, and then on and so forth. Because I don't think a lot of football players or track runners anyway definitely wasn't lifting weights the way I was lifting, the way we lifted weights at Central High School.
All right, man. So you've told me in previous interviews years past that Tom Osborne, when he was recruiting, you sat in your living room, never guaranteed play time, but said you'd have the opportunity to earn play time. My question for you is, do you think with NIL, the transfer portal, today, the way college football is, do you think coaches can still recruit that way, or do they have to throw in a few guarantees now and again to try to attract players now?
I just look at like how I would handle it 100%, because I wouldn't hand out, because I say I just went with this because I was coaching esports at Nebraska, and I had a parent reach out to me that way. And I'm like, I can't lie to you. I said, I'm gonna have a partial scholarship for you. And honestly, I could work with our NIL group and talk with Matt and see what could come up of that. But other than that, that's what I got. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be transparent because I don't want that kid or parent to think I'm saying this when I'm saying that. And just like Coach Osborne said to me and my mom and dad when he came in my home so many years ago. So for me, yeah, I'm going to be real and be like, look, I got a full ride for you. So just flip it and see if it was part of the football coaching staff or baseball or basketball. I would say, hey, I got a full ride and I know I have this type of NIL. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna add on, at the end of the day, regardless of NIL, I know you got a scholarship here waiting for you, but you still got to come in and put in the work to earn your job at the position we're recruiting you at. You do that, you'll definitely have the opportunity to play here and do what your dreams are at the college level. So that's how that'll be my pitch to any college athlete that I'm recruiting in a sport, because it's clear, it's concise, it's all them to make the decision if they want to come to Lincoln then.
Now, you started 6 games as a true freshman in 95. Obviously, you guys go on to win the national championship. A lot of people consider that team to be the greatest college football team of all time. You were part of 95, 97, both won national titles, NFL teams that went deep into the playoffs, that made playoff runs. My question for you is, what made that 95 team specifically so darn good?
I would have to say, like, the way when I came in my freshman year, we had two. It was from my experience, it was 2 different locker rooms at that time. It was a freshman locker room and then the varsity locker room.
Yep.
So it was a goal for us. And so that freshman locker room had red shirts too in there. There are people that just transferred in from JUCOs. Yep. So T. Farley was in there with us, but then it was me and all the freshman class of that year, 95, Chad Kelsey, Chris Brown, Tony Ortiz, Frankie London. We're all there. And so basically that physical goal was right there, is get in the varsity locker room. So to me, in my head, I'm like, this is my goal. It was an unwritten goal, but I'm like, I love my guys in this room, but I want to get to that other one because that means I'm on that roster and I'm playing on the varsity roster on Saturdays. So that was one thing. And then once I did get there at the end of training camp, me, Chris, and Chad, we were the 3 freshmen that made it from our class to be in the varsity locker room. And then now it's like, all right, let's focus on remembering plays. Let's make sure I do every task as a running back that's asking me and get it right, because I know LP, he's already been doing this since his freshman year. Clinton Giles, Damon Benny, Jay Sims, they all been down this road. So now I got to catch up to them. So all right, let me just do what I've done at every stop I've been from at this point up until now, which was little league ranks and then high school rank. And let me just come in here and absorb everything and not worry about when I'm going to start. Just worry about when I know the plays, and when I'm in there, I do what I'm supposed to do. That was the mindset, because putting any other expectation on my plate was going to put pressure. Still not about pressure today, and I wasn't about putting pressure on myself then. Other people could go throw it on me, but I'm going to ignore it. It's going to go in there and out the other, because I want to play at my high level. And I know, and Adam, as an athlete, to play at your best level, you got to have stuff that's not going to cloud your mind. That's going to keep you fresh, because you're talking about the game. The only thing you should be worried about, how I'm going to get around this guard or tackle to get to the quarterback or stop the run game. That's all you want to think for yourself. For myself, was the opposite. Obviously, I want to get past the line of scrimmage, make a linebacker miss, go to the house, or catch the ball, pick up the blitz, do what I need to do as a running back. So that was something like I said, it started probably in high school, and make it real easy myself to go out there and I'll say just perform at a high level.
Going from the old North locker room where there was no walls when you used the urinal, I might add.
Yes, nothing.
And
it was like Gladiator back in the day. It was just,
I get all that, man.
We were the peasants.
That North bathroom, I was like, what is this, man?
We were the peasants. We were the peasants of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, man. All right, man. Lawrence Phillips, he was a teammate of yours. What do you think people should know the most about LP?
Way better person than he was put out there being, from the situation he had put himself in as a young adult with his girlfriend. We all know that story. And then later on in life, he had some moments in NFL that it showed his greatness, but then he went back down that road because I believe he didn't have all the support he needed that he had here in Lincoln, Nebraska, in terms of Coach Osborne and the teammates like us, myself, Clinton Childs, Damon Benny, Jay Sims, but then guys from other positions, Tony Veland, Christian on defense. And just, we had a group that when he was going down that path of self-destruction, we could reel him back, and we could talk to him, calm him down, get him where he could realize who he is. But he had a tough road. It wasn't easy growing up as a kid for LP, and some of those demons came back out later in life, and they were never conquered. And I think that's where the misconception of LP came in, and the misunderstanding of LP. So if people knew and saw his background like we did as teammates, we found out a lot about his childhood, and it all made sense. Doesn't make it right, but it all made sense. And he just didn't conquer those demons like I mentioned. So if he had done that, we would have looked at, well, we saw some of it. He was the 6th overall pick of the 96 draft. And then we would have saw more out of him. We would on the football field, and not the other side that we saw and experienced. Because for me, he basically took me under his wing right away and said, freshman, wherever I go, I want you right behind me. I remember day one of summer conditioning when I came, that was when freshmen could start coming down to train. You're already committed to the school. You could train with your future teammates. And I remember driving down from home during that summer of 95 before I got there. And LP was like, we would get in the line. He was like, AG over here, or freshman over here, stand next to me. Let's go. We're warming up. We're doing our high knees and butt kicks. We're doing all that together. I remember our first, we're working on, it was a speed day, and we went on the viaduct. I don't know if you remember, Adam, if y'all ever did that race up or down, that deceleration, acceleration. And he's like, let's go, right here. Come on, freshman, right next to me, like I said, all summer long. And I'm just like loving it, because my older brother, Jerry, he did the same thing to me. So he would take me to the weight room when I was a freshman at North and pick me up after school. And my reward was dinner. I was like, oh, thanks for feeding me. Appreciate it. So if I get to do this every time we go work out, I'm down for that. So same thing. He took me in as a brother, and right away. And in that room, he was a leader in that room. Damon and Clinton, they would have their little spats and arguments about stuff. He'd be like, hey, he'll shut them both down. Like, shut up. You sit down. You sit down. Damon, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know everything. And CC, just chill. So it was just funny how when Coach Solis wasn't in the room and we were about to start meeting, it was like we were both a whole bunch of little kids messing around until mom and dad walk in the room. Coach Solis walk in the room, then everybody gets quiet. Like, all right, are we in trouble? And he was part of that funness we were having in the room. But then, boom, as soon as the tape turned on, Coach Solis got the clicker in his hand. We're focused. We're like, boom, we're listening to him. Boom, whatever mistakes or good plays that we had, we're taking the notes, writing it down. It was just something I see how it needs to be done. Like I said, watching him, watching Clinton, watching Damon and Jay, Jay Sims, how they study for the next day. I made sure I start absorbing that as well. But for LP too, like I said, you just knew physically what he had. He was blessed physically with a talent that on that football field, I say made it an issue for defenders trying to take him down. And then every practice was him basically showing up the defense. And then he looks at me, freshman, your turn. And I'm like, okay, you got the number one defense pissed off at me now. Because he had several series. I remember my first practice. He had like 3 or 4 plays in each drive. So 3 drives went by with him scoring 50 yards and out. And then he comes to me, all right, freshman, your turn. I'm like, I'm looking at Christian. I'm looking at Doug Coleman. I'm like, they pissed off. And so I got to go in there. So yeah, I got in there, got ranked up, got racked up in the backfield first couple carries. But I'm like, hey, this is what it's going to be. It was the same in high school, and on my first year from little league moving up, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get beat up first couple times, but then after the first round, second round, the third round, I'll start getting adjusted to the speed, and I did. And so it was pretty cool. I say after, like I said, about my 3rd or 4th series on that first day, I remember my second play, Christian Peter caught me. He caught me with a good hit right up the middle. He was able to get into me good. And he's like, freshman, take that running back to high school. That's not how you run at the college level. You don't run like that here. And I'm like, I said, noted. Thank you, Mr. Peters. And then so about the next series, I came back out. We were simulating a game, so we punted it. Defense is back. Number 2 defense is up. Number 1 offense is back up again. So I go back in with them, and then again, almost the same play, right up the middle. And I just dropped my shoulder a little lower and ran a little harder. Went through his. It was I didn't know at the time, but it was a Christian's arm that I went through. Picked up like 10 yards up the middle, got the ball down, and went back to the huddle. Didn't say nothing. Christian went down, the little shoulder issue, nothing serious. But then after practice, I saw he had an ice bag on that shoulder, on that arm. He reached out and he's like, freshman, because that was him who I ran over. So he's like, that's how you run the ball. This is how you go up the middle again. I'm like, I learned, Mr. Peters. So I appreciate you for that. So that was the atmosphere on that field, and that's why we were the way we were, because they didn't take, when I say they, because learning from the coaches, they didn't take us as freshmen lightly. They gave us everything, and if we could handle it, we could handle it. We moved on to the freshman locker room and ready to play ball.
All right, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, DPS Concrete Construction. They are your local concrete experts. All right, you can check them out at dpsconstruction.net, based out of the Omaha metro area. But if you're looking for concrete work, retaining wall work, these are the folks to get it done. If this is the line of work that you do, Jason Armstrong is a great guy to work for. He is the owner, and we're going to start talking about some of his other businesses and companies that he has. He does a great job in general. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. All right, it's time to talk a little bit of modern day Nebraska football. Emmett Johnson, for the love of all that's holy, is finally the starting running back. Well, he's got to earn it again this offseason, but projected starting running back. We're gonna not talk about the process to making that happen. But what do you see from him? What do you expect from him next season? And what do you like out of his game?
What I like out of his game and what I expect of him is nothing more than what he did last year, right? He got a little bit better than the year before. And I don't like to put big expectations out for players because I was once a player and I know what that looks like. I know what that sounds. I know, and I know, and I hope good that he's not listening to us. Everybody else is. So for what I want to see is, like I said, get a little bit better than he did last year. He had a lot going on for himself. Good. I like his suddenness. He gets the ball and he knows how to set up his blocks. He knows how to get his linemen to their run fist before he explodes up the hole. And picking up the blitz, didn't have a whole lot of that, but obviously it's going to pop up in the coming years. Make sure he's on point for that, and then able to be physical and then still nimble at the same time. So when you got to go down for a third down or a fourth down and one, go get it. And then if you got to hit the edge, because he's an edge running back, and make guys miss, which he did, continue to do that, because when you make guys miss, but then also truck guys, then you give what we know, I say defensive backs usually think of as business decisions. Where it's like, oh man, he just ran me over last play, and he juked me this play. I don't know where he's coming, but you know what? I might not just I just kind of tap off, So give those guys something to work with. So I would let him know that, and I would say I would like to see him to do that, and it's just become a full running back, because that's going to help him progress to the next level, to the NFL level. Because then once scouts see that he can make guys miss, he could drop his shoulder to get yards when he needs to, he could catch the ball out the backfield and pick up the blitz, then he's a full package running back. So I'll say that just continue with the fundamentals of basics, because once you have the fundamentals mastered, then you can just progress slowly and better. Because I don't want to see nothing where I want to see big runs, I want to see big catches, but just say take your time. It's time, progress fluidly, and make sure you have everything mastered as a running back at his position.
Business decisions is not something defensive linemen are ever afforded. That's why a guy like Christian Peters yelling at you, and not, with all due respect, probably not a DB. All right, just different positions. All right.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Dana Holgorsen. What you saw from the minimal time he was able to be the OC last year, and what you kind of are looking for, what you think might happen out of our offense next year, because we should expect a vast improvement. And I know you're not going to go down that road probably as much as I will, but with the guys we brought in, Dylan being experienced, interior offensive lineman brought in, Emmett, the guy at running back, I'm not saying like number one in the country, but vastly improved, I think is a fair expectation.
So the year before, I want to say almost 2 years ago, I covered his last season, one of his games from his last season at Houston. And so we did a production meeting with him. I was a commentator. We were there playing Baylor, and got a chance to meet him face to face. I had heard about him before, but then finally sitting down and talk to him, I had a good. He was a good dude to have a conversation to, and he was all football player. I could totally tell. Like, knowing I did my research, he was a wide receiver when he played ball, and so he understood the game from a wide receiver standpoint. But then obviously as he coached, he learned all the other aspects that a head coach should know. And I was just my assessment of him was like, okay, I get this guy. He's one of those coaches and was a player that is going to be clever. He's going to see things that obviously other people don't see in terms of why that play was run that way. And from a wide receiver standpoint, because things from a wide receiver standpoint, they understand coverages and they understand the throws that need to be thrown at certain routes. And so I was like, okay, so when he has that, he understands the type of quarterback they need, or not, I say quarterbacking. So it could be any quarterback, as long as the quarterback understands the throws at the right time. And if it's a screen play to a slant route to a deep ball, but also how to set that up with the quarterback's body mechanics. If you got to pump fake with the shoulder or kind of look off the safety. He talked about that a lot in our interview before their kickoff. And so fast forward to him getting brought in was like, I said, for one, said it again. I was like, oh man, I know this guy. And I was like, I actually like this because, like I said, during that talk and what I saw, what was going on with our team, what we were missing when he came in, I said right here on the drive when he came in, I was like, he's going to bring something different because one, he's new eyes on what the players been doing on film. From the quarterbacks to the running backs, what Dylan had been doing, Emmett and the run game guys and doing O-line, everything. From the offensive side, he's going to bring other ideas, say, to the old things that's in their playbook. He'll be able to say, okay, on this play now, instead of whatever y'all used to do, let's try this out. Let me see how you like it. Thing is, really, for Dana, it was the short time, right? He only had literally days on the minutes to get everybody ready or caught up to what he knows, what he can do. But now he's going to have this whole off season. So it's going to be interesting and fun. I know the wide receivers better be ready. And then the run game better be ready because as a head coach, he definitely understands that dance you got to do with the defense. That like, okay, here's a couple run plays, here's a couple pass plays mixed in, with the RPOs and all that. You got to do that to a defense. This because once y'all on defense understands the offense in terms of how to stop it, then y'all got an easy day out there. And so he has to make that day not easy as an offensive coordinator. He cannot let the D linemen already be calling out, oh, they're coming here. And this, Adam, when you knew, okay, you kind of look at before you even get down in your 3-point stance, you kind of look at the O-line, you look at the formation, you be like, all right, I know where they're going.
Oh, yeah.
Then you get down there and you just kind of do your job, but then boom, you're there to stuff it. So that's Dana's job to make sure guys like you pre-snap don't know where the play is going or what type of, from the formation to the personnel, because those are the details that, for you defensive players and offensive players, you see a personnel coming in, you're like, all right, they got their heavy guys coming in, so they're trying to stop the run. So, okay, let's counter that with, let's bring in, let's do a wide receiver package, because then the one linebacker can't keep up with one of our receivers. So at least we'll have one guy come open. So it's that little cat and mouse that I know Dana can bring to the offense. And then also basic stuff like confidence, right? Is giving those guys on offense, especially the skill position guys, the confidence to go out there and execute. Dylan has confidence, but to continue to support that, right? Emmett and the other running backs, same thing. Continue and support their successes as the season goes on. I don't know what's going on in terms of may not be a spring ball, but from last week hearing that, it's like, oh my goodness, really? I said that'll be interesting. I was like, well, you fast forward with Ahman being a freshman, I'm like, oh, I could go play my baseball now. That'll be one story. Let's talk about that a little bit later, Adam. He'll be able to then dig his teeth, and the players will begin to start to understand what somebody of his experience can bring something different to the offense and still be successful.
How can he help improve the run game, or how can Nebraska have a more effective run game? 2 years ago, we ran it really well. Obviously, Hoiberg was using his legs a lot more. But last year, we had a drop-off in the run game, and I think it was more than just the quarterback run or lack thereof. How can they increase the effectiveness in the run game next year?
I would say, one, get the linemen and the running back crew together. I say not just on the field, but off the field. Something I had in Green Bay that as a coach now, if I'm a football coach, I'm doing this every year, where I am bringing the O-line coaches and players into the same meeting room as the running backs and the coaches. And we're going to break down film together. And so from mistakes to wins, and why would you do this on that power? Why would you do that on that ISO or kick out block on a trap or what have on a trap block? And so now those are questions are being asked amongst the linemen to the running backs. And that's what something that happened in Green Bay. Edgar Bennett did my second year in 01, where we went to the O-line room, and it was almost like, why did we do this sooner? Why? Like, for example, I know defense meets as a whole, just like offense does. But does it ever get to a point where the D line meets with just the linebackers?
So we'd have our individual meetings with just the D line, and then as a whole unit. I don't ever remember meeting with just linebackers unless they were pass rushers. And then we'd watch pass rush film together, but that was it.
Just think about that. Just think if y'all met as a linebacker core with the D lineman and actually understood what you were looking for. Like for you as a D tackle, when you did an ET, you knew you wanted to go at a certain angle to get the lineman to kind of reach for you, so then the other guy could come pick them or what have you. Or if you were the picker,
I get you.
Right. So then telling the linebacker that, right? Say, hey, this is what I'm doing my ET. So if the linebacker's blitzing off of that, then he's like, oh, okay, then I want to go here instead of there. Because sometimes there's an ET and then there's a backer blitz. It's a dog blitz on top of it, and it might not go right because he came too early or came too late, So just imagine that. So now I'm in the backfield and I'm telling my tackles and my guards, hey, on this power, I start to slow down when I see this. I see the linebacker sprinting his helmet over the top because he's going to knows I'm going outside. So I start to slow down because I want to set up the cutback. And they're like, oh, so I don't need y'all to see me slow down and stop, because that would sometimes happen. On a power, I'll see my linemen kind of just out the corner of their eyes. They'll see me kind of slow down. Then they think they got to slow down. I said, no, keep going full speed, because I want to give them that look, book it to the outside look, because then when I cut back, there is nobody there. And so that's where from 01 to 04 in Green Bay, we had the most rushing yards in Green Bay Packer history because of those meetings. And so those plays would be like micro-sized down to this movement, to that movement, and then boom. So I say with the offense here, they start breaking it down like that, because then once you simplifize it, and it's just what it is, it's simplified it, because this is football. And it's not, we're not becoming scientists that go to NASA and build the space shuttle. No. We're progressing the ball down the field, either on the ground, by handing the ball off to the running back, or in the air, from RPOs to play actions to then taking the defense over top, because we beat them up enough in the run game. We should have 9 guys in the box, and now we could throw it over top with our speediest receivers.
I agree with you. I've always said football is the most violent chess game on planet Earth. Okay? You can argue martial arts and things of that nature too, but at the end of the day, it's blocking, tackling, and like you said, just simplifies it a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, you can check out Ahman Green, Chris Raff, Aaron Davis, Nick Sainert, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The Drive is the show. The Ticket is the location. Check it out at theticketfm.com. All right, my man, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. I'm going to chat with Nebraska women's basketball star Britt Prince right after this. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, unfortunately, Britt Prince is not on the other part of the screen. I recorded my interview with Ahman yesterday. I got a message from Amanda at the Nebraska women's basketball team that Britt and a lot of the team has been kind of ravaged by flu, not feeling good today. So unfortunately, she won't be able to join me. She's going to join me here in the next couple of weeks. Speedy recovery. Hope the whole team feels better. But real quick, on Nebraska men's basketball, they've lost 6 in a row. Now they've won 4 in a row. 2 road games. Said they couldn't win on the road. Won 2 of them, beat 2 ranked teams. Got a chance to make a statement in our next 4 games. Played 2 ranked teams, Maryland, the Northwestern, Penn State, and Michigan. Maryland and Michigan are also both ranked. Then Minnesota, Ohio State, and Iowa are good buddies. We're currently 16-8. If we could finish the regular season 5-2 and win 1 Big Ten tournament game, that means Nebraska men's basketball has a very good chance to make the NCAA tournament. And this is the type of team they've shown they can lose to anybody, but they can beat anybody and get Nebraska's first all-time NCAA tournament win. You can follow me on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Here are my questions for your fine folks at home. Number 1, will the basketball team, the men, make the NCAA tournament, and the women as well? Number 2, EMMETT Johnson, will he have an all Big Ten type season? And is it fair to expect big improvements with the offense under Dana Holgorsen next year? Go Big Red Nose, remember to throw the ball.